The day my brother Song Jingqing came to the orphanage to pick me up, my boyfriend Chi Duan delivered a cold ultimatum: if you choose your family, we're through. I knew his pride was too fragile to handle the class disparity between us. For his sake, I gave up the family that was finally within my grasp. For decades, I toiled and scrimped every penny to pave his way to success. Before I even turned 50, worn down by the grind, I lay on my sickbed, my life hanging by a thread. On TV, Chi Rui, who had just received the highest scientific research award, was tearfully thanking another woman. For years, I never felt worthy of Ms. Song Xinai. Now, I can finally use this award as the long overdue opening line to express the love I've held for decades. The Song Xinai he spoke of was the false heiress, the one switched at birth with me all those years ago. The camera pulled back, showing the impeccably maintained Song Xinai accepting the trophy with a bashful smile. Even though I've waited for you for decades, a matter of marriage still requires my brother's approval. Song Jingqing, who had long since taken over the Song family, gazed at her with an adoring look that held an unspoken love. They sent me to live with my uncle's family all those years ago, just to protect Xinai. Bringing joy to the Song family's one and only little princess has been my life's purpose. So the life choice I thought I'd made without regret was actually a trap set by two men to protect Song Xinai. I died with my eyes wide open, consumed by rage and resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I had somehow returned to the day Song Jingqing came to pick me up. Ignoring the two men frowning at me, I decisively slipped into the car. Take me home. In this lifetime, I will make all those who stand in the wrong place return to their mud pits. 1. Jiangshi, let me tell you, if you go back to being a pampered young lady out of vanity, we're through, so no one can say I'm after your family's money. I, Chi Rui, may be poor, but I have my pride. Just like in my past life, Chi Rui, whose arm I was clutching for advice, shoved me away violently. The dull pain from hitting the wall made me realize I had been reborn on the day Song Jingqing came to claim me as his relative. And before me, the imposing Song Jingqing frowned at his watch, his face cold and impatient. If you don't want to acknowledge it, don't waste time. After all, my parents weren't too concerned about losing me for so many years. After all, he was in a hurry to get through the formalities with me and rush back to accompany Song Xinai. In my past life, Song Jingqing's deliberately condescending and dismissive tone made me, an orphan of 22 years, feel not a shred of familial warmth, filling my heart with timidity. Coupled with Chi Rui's threat to break up, I refused to even meet my birth parents before turning down the reunion. But now, listening to Chi Rui's dissatisfied accusations beside me, Jiangshi, can't you have a mind of your own? Stop asking me about everything. I spoke up decisively. I confess, those two short, powerful words left both men frozen in place. Song Jingqing frowned, as if he couldn't believe it. What did you just say? Unlike my timid former self, the body of this 22-year-old now houses a soul tempered by over 50 years of experience. In my eyes, they're nothing but greenhorns. I met Song Jingqing's gaze and stared right back. Didn't they send you to pick me up? Let's go. Don't keep my parents waiting. Only until my death in my previous life did I learn that Song Jingqing wasn't my biological brother. He was just an adopted child from a distant relative, brought in by my parents to accompany and protect their only daughter, Song Xinai. He acts as if he's doing me a favor, even though he's just an adopted son and I'm the real daughter. When I was about to get in the car, Song Jingqing, who hadn't yet become the sly old fox, instinctively looked at Chi Rui. His gaze seemed to reproach him for his mistake. They indeed knew each other long before. Two men I had nothing to do with, working in perfect harmony for some fake heiress, ruined my entire life. The next second, Chi Rui grabbed my arm and yanked hard. Jiangshi, have you lost your mind? You're getting your muddy shoes on $1 million car. Do you have any idea how much it would cost if you damaged it? Don't act on impulse and cause trouble. I won't clean up your mess. I was picked up by my grandmother from the riverside and named Jiangshi. Both my family and the Chi family are poor in the town, but he always thinks he's superior to me. The reason is simple. My affection gave him privileges. I've always liked Chi Rui, following him around like a shadow since I was a child. He excels in both character and academics, born into poverty but never willing to bow his head. And he's never called me a bastard. After my grandmother passed away, Chi Rui became my only support in this world. So even though we both got into high school, I chose to drop out and work to help him pay for his tuition. With a casual remark about how all the city kids were getting one-on-one tutoring from famous teachers, he sent me trekking 30 miles of mountain paths to gather rare herbs at the cliff's edge, risking life and limb, just to earn the money for his tutoring fees. It wasn't until my previous life, lying on my sickbed, that I watched on TV as Chi Rui, nearing 60, flushed with emotion while reminiscing about his first meeting with Song Xinai at the tutoring center. I was young, poor, and full of insecurities back then, but she never looked down on me. I had never met a girl as wonderful as Xinai. In that moment, I decided that even if it took me a lifetime, I would strive to catch up to her. My arched back at the edge of the cliff became a bridge beneath their feet. He could disdain my love, but he shouldn't have used it to ruin my life. Seeing Chi Rui's youthful face again after so long only left me feeling sick. The car is here specifically to pick me up. Why should I not go and leave the opportunity for someone else to take over? 2. Chi Rui didn't expect to be cut off by me. His eyes widened and he swallowed hard, his face turning red as he thought of a few sarcastic remarks. Jiangshi, are you really that obsessed with money? They abandoned you for all these years and never gave you a second thought. Now they just casually ask about you on a whim. And you come running like an eager puppy. Have you no self-respect, no shame at all? In my past life, he would habitually criticize and belittle me like this. If Chi Rui had questioned me like that before, I would have been so ashamed that I would have believed I had done something wrong. But I've already endured a lifetime of suffering. On rainy days, every tired and deformed joint would question me. Why give up the near-certain chance of instant success, all for some unworthy man, enduring unnecessary hardship? I coldly shook off his hand. Whether Chi Rui thinks I'm desperate or not, the Song family is still my home, and my family affairs are none of your business, outsider. After saying that, I got into the car without so much as a glance back at him. In Song Jingqing's reproachful gaze, Chi Rui shouted unwillingly outside the car, Jiangshi, I'm giving you one last chance. Get down here right now, or we're breaking up. Look at yourself, ignorant, uneducated. Who do you think you are to be the Song family's lady? Don't come crawling to me begging for another chance when you get kicked out again. I coldly closed the car window to block out the insults, calmly instructing the driver, please take me home to see my parents. Even though I knew the Song family was wealthy, I was still stunned upon seeing the villa and luxury cars in front of me. Song Jingqing sneered at my unsuitable for public display. This villa was a gift from her family when Xiaoai turned 18. Xiaoai's 18th birthday gift was a luxurious villa, while my 18th year was spent washing dishes in a dirty sink to support Song Jingqing through his crucial final year of high school. Back then, Xiaoai always called herself a little princess, so the design was modeled after a European castle. Song Jingqing's lips curved into a smile as he sank into memories, only to revert to his usual coldness the moment he caught sight of me. Miss Jiang, since you've chosen to return, as the future heir of the Song family, I have a few words for you. Song Xinai has never shown any aptitude for learning or business. While Song Jingqing entered the company early, although no one ever promised him the position of heir, it's clear he's already crowned himself the crown prince. Although you share blood with our family, perhaps, as your boyfriend said, our parents found you on a whim, but Xiao Ai is different. She grew up at home, always our family's little princess. Xiao Ai was switched at birth, and she knows nothing about it. She is innocent, and she never owed you anything. Each word pierced my ears with arrogance, and I looked up at him. Thank you. Song Jingqing raised an eyebrow, puzzled, but I had already strode forward. Thank you for telling me all this. Now I know that all of this should have been mine in my past life. After I refused to acknowledge my family, I actually thought about sneaking to the Song residence to see my parents. It wasn't for wealth or status, I just wanted to know where I came from, but I was stopped at the gate by Song Jingqing. Miss Jiang, you chose to deny your own family for the sake of a man. Our parents are utterly disappointed in you. It's really too ugly to keep pestering now. You've already lost your chance. Please leave immediately. After all, our whole family doesn't want Xinai to be disturbed. Her birthday is coming up soon, and she doesn't even know you exist. Miss Jiang, I beg you to be kind and don't hurt my sister. That day, I was shoved around like a stray dog by the bodyguards Song Jingqing called, and through the crack in the door, I saw Song Xinai, like a delicate flower, surrounded by our parents in the garden. At that time, I didn't know about Song Jingqing's adopted status, and I thought he represented the opinions of the entire Song family. It wasn't until my soul wandered through the heavens that I realized my birth parents had also wanted to come and see me, but Song Jingqing had intervened. They portrayed me as a clueless, immature girl. She said she would only contact them to inherit the estate if the entire Song family were dead. Otherwise, she wouldn't even want to look at any of us Song family members. After all, humans are emotional beings. My parents, who had never been particularly affectionate towards me, listened to these words and looked at the innocent and charming Song Xinai, ultimately leaving only a sigh. In my previous life, I only knew how to accept my fate, unaware that if one is not born into a life of ease, One must strive for what they want, whether it's money or love. So when they saw me kneeling before them, sobbing uncontrollably and unable to get up as I poured out my longing, my parents, with tears in their eyes, pulled me into their embrace. Our baby has suffered so much. Mom and Dad will make it up to you twice over. Clinging to my parents' shoulders, through my tear-blurred eyes, I saw the young Song Xinai 3. Though she didn't speak immediately, I quickly caught the flash of resentment in her eyes. Song Xinai, with eyes red like an innocent rabbit's and a mouth pressed thin in suppressed grievance. Mom, Dad, who is this lady? Why does she call you Mom and Dad too? Just as my parents realized they had neglected Song Xinai and were about to comfort her, I stepped forward and took Song Xinai's hand first. So this is the sister who's been dutifully caring for our parents in my place. Just as my brother said, you're 10,000 times better than I am. Even though your mother swapped us at birth and abandoned me by the river to die, I know you had no idea during your 18 years of luxury in the Song family. You're completely innocent. Besides, my brother already warned me that you're the family's beloved little princess, not like me. I've never even met our parents. I took a pendant from around my neck. I don't have much to offer for our first meeting, but this is the only keepsake my grandmother, who raised me, left me. I hope it will keep you safe always. Without waiting for Song Xinai to refuse, I pressed the pendant directly into her hand. The sharp corner of the pendant pricked Song Xinai's delicate palm. With her sharp cry, I was the first to stumble back 2 steps and fall to the ground. The pendant hit the floor and shattered into pieces under my parents' astonished gaze. I dropped to my knees and desperately tried to gather all the shards in my hands. My palms were cut and bleeding, my eyes welled up with tears, and I couldn't stop apologizing. I'm so sorry, I wasn't thinking. Even if this was my most precious possession, it's still not worthy of my sister, the esteemed young lady of the Song family. I was pulled up by my parents with a look of pity on their faces, their voices choked with emotion. Jiangshi, what are you doing? You are our real daughter. When our eyes met again, Song Xinai's eyes were filled with unmistakable resentment. Song Xinai truly isn't a pure flower protected by mud. Perfect. That saves me from feeling any pointless guilt. From the moment I was reborn, I decided that regardless of whether Song Xinai is innocent or not, I will take back everything that is mine. Even if she truly knows nothing, I will still seize it, because all of this was rightfully mine to begin with. Song Xinai and I were switched at birth. Song Xinai's biological mother became pregnant out of wedlock and, coincidentally, met my mother, who was also giving birth on the same day. Seeing my mother's affluent lifestyle, the woman couldn't bear the thought of her child suffering and secretly swapped the babies when no one was looking. She didn't even intend to raise the baby. She stole me and simply left me by the riverside. If it weren't for my grandmother finding me, I would have likely become a pile of bones by now. Compared to Song Xin's chaotic life of luxury, I am the one who is truly innocent. As for the jade pendant, it's certainly not some heirloom. It was just a giveaway from a street raffle in Qirui one year, the only gift he ever gave me. A piece of broken glass that I cherished for years. It's fitting that it paves the way for me now. Dad was in a hurry to get the broken glass fixed, while Mom called the family doctor to tend to my wounds. Xinai, how could you break your sister's gift and push her? Is this really how we've been raising you all these years? Unlike my daily humiliation and PUA from Qirui, this was probably the first time Song Xinai had ever been scolded. Her face flushed crimson with indignation, her neck stiff with frustration, yet she was at a loss for words to defend herself. It was Song Jingqing, who had been shielding her from the start, who finally spoke up. Mom, Dad, you've got Xiaoai all wrong. I saw it clearly from where I was standing. Jiangshi deliberately tripped and broke the pendant herself. I don't know why Jiangshi would try to frame Xiaoai the moment she got back, but I'm sure the security cameras at home caught everything. After all, Jiangshi is the kind of person who would dump her childhood sweetheart and long-term boyfriend without a second thought just to get back into the Song family. As he spoke, Song Jingqing actually pulled out his phone, which clearly displayed an edited clip of me saying those two things to Qirui, a cuckoo occupying a magpie's nest, and this is none of your business, outsider. Sure enough, Mom and Dad's brows furrowed. Seizing the opportunity, Song Jingqing leaned in close and whispered to me, you've never heard of high-tech surveillance, have you? In the year I was reborn, surveillance cameras were indeed a novelty, something ordinary households knew nothing about. A smug smile played at the corner of Song Jingqing's lips. I warned you that Xinai was innocent and told you to leave her alone, but since you insisted on playing dirty, you have no one to blame but yourself when you get caught. For Song Xinai only poured fuel on the fire, weeping and crying out to prove her innocence. I can understand that my sister just came back and wants to win our parents' affection, but why does she have to frame me? What did I even do wrong? Even if our parents have found their biological daughter and don't want Shinai anymore, Shinai will leave with a clean slate. My parents looked at me with difficulty, and I smiled obediently. Mom and Dad, although Jiangshi believes that a harmonious family leads to prosperity, he doesn't mean to blame his sister and doesn't understand anything about surveillance, but since his sister wants to check, then let's check. After all, the daughter doesn't want to make her parents feel awkward as soon as she returns home. The surveillance footage was retrieved, and Song Xinai and Song Qingjing were confident, but their hopeful gazes only saw the moment when Song Xinai raised her hand and I fell in the surveillance angle. The pendant did indeed fall at the exact moment we handed it over to each other. The photo from this angle is not clear, but I saw it crystal clear. It was Jiangshi's self-staged frame-up. Song Qingjing roared angrily, "You did that on purpose. How can you be so evil?" As Song Qingjing became more aggressive, I only cowered and cried, burrowing closer to my parents. Dad slapped Song Qingjing across the face. "Shut up. Jiangshi doesn't even know there's a surveillance camera. How could he have orchestrated this himself?" But Dad, I actually noticed the black camera as soon as I walked in. Although surveillance wasn't widespread in this era, by the time I died, cameras were already everywhere in the city. Adjusting the angle wasn't difficult, but at this moment, as a young woman in her early 20s from a small town, I watched the movie in front of me with a mix of surprise, hurt, and surprise. So this is the surveillance camera. Is there one at the front door too? Mom, Dad, can Jiangshi take a look? My timid tone was heartbreaking. After all, that was the very first time my brother and I stepped through that door together. I spoke, my gaze shifting to Song Jingqing. Watching his face instantly turn ashen, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touched my lips while he was wholly preoccupied, guarding against any move I might make against Song Xinai. He had unwittingly stepped into my line of fire. He, Qi Rui, and Song Xinai. They were all just obstacles in my path. What difference does it make who we deal with first? The hunt has only just begun. Despite Song Jingqing's repeated attempts to stop them, my parents, feeling deeply wronged on my behalf, still pulled up the gate surveillance footage just as I expected. Upon hearing those arrogant crown prince remarks, my father's face immediately turned ashen. "Song Jingqing, who gave you the right to be the future heir of the Song family? Who do you think you are to talk to my daughter like that?" Xinai was the daughter of the Song family, and Jiangshi will be even more so. Don't forget why you were allowed into this household. In our past life, Song Jingqing did inherit the Song family's legacy, but only because his parents died in an accident. Now, watching him hang his head low yet clench his fists tightly, a chilling suspicion crept into my mind, sending a cold shiver down my spine. Was my parents' death in our past life truly an accident? Song Jingqing shouldered all the blame from our parents, allowing Song Xinai to walk away completely unscathed. In the following days, Song Xinai seemed to have learned her lesson. She began to mimic my behavior, playing the part of the meek and submissive one, voluntarily moving out of the best bedroom in the villa and dressing in the most shabby clothes. "Sister is back." Xinai naturally wouldn't dare to take anything that belongs to sister anymore. I'd only beg sister not to drive Xinai away. As long as Xinai can stay with mom and dad, I would gladly work as a maid in the house, deliberately in front of mom and dad, piling all her treasured jewelry and clothes in front of me as an apology. Brother upset sister that day, but it was out of love and care after years of being together. Ultimately, it's all Xinai's fault. Xinai knows sister must be tired of these things now, but these are all she has to offer. As long as sister stops being angry, Xinai is willing to kneel and apologize to sister, just to be allowed to stay with our parents and fulfill our filial duties. She actually knelt down beside me and knocked her head until it was swollen, which made our parents feel deeply sorry for her. "Xiaoshi, your sister is very pure-hearted. A family can't keep dwelling on past mistakes. One shouldn't be so petty in life and actions." Meanwhile, Song Jingqing chimed in, helping Song Xinai to her feet and submitting his resignation. "Our parents adopted me to protect Xinai. Now that Jiangshi can't tolerate her, I have no reason to stay in the Song family." Song Jingqing has been groomed for years and holds a great deal of the Song family's resources and confidential information. If he were to walk away right now, the company would undoubtedly suffer a significant blow. As the two of them worked in perfect sync, my soft-hearted parents took my hand for a discussion. They showed me photos of Song Xinai growing up, where she looked like a porcelain doll maturing gracefully. Their eyes were filled with tenderness. Xinai has never known hardship since she was a child. Besides, she truly is innocent. She had no idea. From now on, you and Xinai will be like sisters. To the outside world, We'll say you're our long-lost daughter. Our Song family can afford to raise even more children. You and Xinai will both be our children. In the future, Jingqing will take over the company, and you and Xinai will share the company's shares equally. Mom and Dad will absolutely ensure you won't suffer for the rest of your life. Seeing the well-arranged parents in front of me, even though I had anticipated it, a hint of disappointment still passed through my heart. Am I being too greedy? But why should I share what was originally meant for me with others? Next week is the birthday of my beloved, and we'll hold your welcome back party at the same time, celebrating two happy occasions with great joy. This was the first time I interrupted my parents. Mom, Dad, next week is my birthday too. 5 years of habit meant that whenever my parents talked about Song Xinai's birthday, they completely forgot that day was supposed to be mine as well. Even though we were born on the same day, Song Xinai had somehow claimed the role of the younger sister as a given, because the older sister was inevitably expected to be the understanding one who gave in. As I saw the guilt in their eyes, I lowered my head and then raised it again, a tear glistening in my eye at just the right moment. The brother mentioned that the sister receives birthday gifts every year, and even the villa they live in now was a birthday gift for her 18th birthday. Jiangshi has never celebrated a birthday. Mom and Dad, if Jiangshi can accomplish one thing, can I trade it for a chance to make a birthday wish? Reborn, what I want is not to compete with Song Xinai for the title of Little Princess. The birthday banquet was bustling with excitement. Everyone wanted to see what the Song family's second daughter, who had been lost and found, looked like. Song Xinai wore the custom-made gown designed by Song Jingqing. Still the proud heiress of the Song family, while helping me change into my dress, she leaned close to my ear, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Jiangshi, what does it matter if you're the real daughter? I may just be the dispensable second daughter, but I'm still the most cherished little girl in the Song family. Trying those petty tricks with me, sister, you still have a lot to learn. She yanked hard, and the gown let out a snap. The same custom-made gown was noticeably smaller when I received it right in front of our parents. Song Xinai affectionately linked her arm with mine. Oh, my big sister's put on a tiny bit of weight, hasn't she? Song Jingqing personally handled the fitting for the gown. There's no way I could have gained that much in just a few days. Song Jingqing, the instigator of this whole thing, shot me a dismissive glance. Xinai started watching her diet half a month in advance. Unlike some people who knew full well this banquet was full of important guests, yet couldn't even control their own appetite. Being a Song family heiress is about far more than just the fine clothes and lavish feasts you see. Today's guests include those who came out of respect for Mom and Dad, my longtime business partners, and my dearest friends. Every single one of them is closely connected to our Song family enterprise. Mom, Dad. It seems Jiang still has a long way to go before she can be considered a proper child of the Song family. Without a gown, I had to change into ordinary clothes, and standing next to Song Xinai, I looked like her servant. Murmurs filled the banquet hall. Is that the long-lost second Miss Song they brought back to the family? How could she dress so casually for an occasion like this? She has no sense of propriety at all. She's nowhere near as elegant as Miss Xinai. I really can't fathom why the Song family would parade this uncouth, jumped-up heiress around for everyone to see. I heard she grew up in some backwater town. What could she possibly understand about an occasion like this? Even my parents couldn't help but frown, shooting me a look tinged with disappointment. Jiangshi, stick with your sister and try to meet some new people. Song Xinai deliberately pulled me through the crowd, effortlessly accepting birthday wishes for the Song family heiress. The gifts piled up in her arms, making my own empty hands seem all the more pitiful. Finally, she dragged me into her circle of close friends, letting those young socialites surround me. This is my second sister, the one who just came back to the family. She deliberately emphasized the number 2, causing those socialites to smirk with derision. Although my sister got lost as a child because she was too playful, but no one is allowed to laugh at her as a little silly girl. My sister grew up in a small town. She didn't even get into high school, and she's still unfamiliar with the English names of the luxury brands we usually use. From now on, when we all hang out, please be mindful of my sister's fragile ego. Okay. Amidst the scornful laughter, I coldly shook off Song Xinai's hand. That won't be necessary. I doubt I'll have much opportunity to play with you and your little circle of socialites. After all, I have a company to take over someday, unlike your fortunate friends here who are content being family parasites. Song Jingqing, who had been quietly observing the scene, saw that Song Xinai was being wronged and hurried over to back her up. Jiangshi, I know that when people are excessively insecure, they mask it with indifference, but since you've chosen to return to the Song family, please try to maintain your manners. Don't embarrass the Song family. If you can't adapt, you can leave. After all, no one at this party is here for you. In any case, I absolutely won't allow you to ruin my beloved's birthday party." The surroundings were filled with the admiring gazes of those young ladies, with the title of the Song family's young master. Song Jingqing was naturally a desirable choice among the young ladies in his previous life. He had always guarded Song Xinai like a loyal dog. Just as Song Jingqing was reprimanding me, a familiar voice suddenly called out to me from the crowd, "Jiangshi, 6, it's Qi Rui. I haven't seen you in ages. Long time no see, Jiangshi." Qi Rui walked up to me and gave me a sidelong glance. "Look at you now. After ditching me for the sake of profit, you didn't live the life of a rich young lady as you imagined." The chaotic crowd in the banquet hall was instantly drawn to Qi Rui's loud voice. "Song Xinai, pretending not to know," exclaimed in surprise. "Qi Rui, do you know my second elder sister?" She affectionately held her parents' wrists as they hurried over, introducing Qi Rui, "Mom and Dad, this is my tutoring classmate Qi Rui. Despite coming from a poor background, he's very ambitious. He's already involved in project research while in university, and who knows, he might become a great scientist someday." Coming from a poor background, there was once me, the fool willing to be a blood bag without the burden of life's pressures. Qi Rui can naturally devote all his energy to studying. Song Xinai continued, steering the conversation back to me. "Qi Rui even knows the older sister." Qi Rui snorted coldly. "We didn't just know each other. Miss Jiangshi was practically obsessed with me for years. After all, back then, for an uneducated orphan girl from a poor family, a promising university student like me was the best option Miss Jiang could hope for. Out of consideration for our shared hometown and childhood bond, I agreed to her advances." Who would have thought that the very first thing Miss Jiangshi did after climbing the social ladder was to dump me? But then again, it's no surprise. Now that Miss Jiangshi is the heiress of the Song family, of course she'd look down on a poor guy like me. Seeing the suspicious looks on his parents' faces, Song Qingjing quickly testified to clarify, "I went to pick up Jiangshi and indeed saw her decisively break up with classmate Qi. She also claimed that she would be the young lady of the Song family from now on, telling classmate Qi not to bother her anymore, otherwise, she would show him the power of a wealthy family. So that's why Qi Rui never bothered me after we parted ways that day. He was saving himself as a secret weapon, waiting for a grand occasion to deliver a public, crushing blow." Qi Rui looked at me with sheer triumph in his eyes, his chin held high. "But Miss Jiangshi, you needn't worry. I told you before, I may be poor, but I have my pride. I didn't come to bother you, but to thank Miss Song Xinai. Miss Xinai is beautiful and kind-hearted. When she learned about my difficult family situation, instead of looking down on me, she sponsored my tuition and living expenses." Qi Rui took out an invitation letter from his pocket as he spoke. "This is an invitation from the Singularity Research Lab. I'm giving it to Miss Xinai as a birthday gift today. If Miss Shinai ever needs anything, I will spare no effort to help." The mere mention of Singularity Research Lab instantly sparked another wave of astonished gasps. It is currently the nation's top private research facility. Receiving an invitation from them guarantees a future of limitless potential. Qi Rui raised an eyebrow and looked down. "Jiangshi, don't underestimate the poor youth. When you were in a hurry to find a powerful backer, you didn't expect me to rise so quickly, did you?" Qi Rui's gift inadvertently added a weighty chip to Song Xinai. For the wealthy, blood ties are important, but the benefits they bring are even more crucial. The already biased crowd at the banquet, after witnessing this spectacular performance, all unilaterally sided with Song Xinai. "Used to cling to college students because I wasn't capable myself. Now that she's just been recognized as family, she dumps them. This second Miss Song is really cunning, stepping on others to climb up. To me, blood relations don't matter. She's been twisted for years. People say the poor scheme and the rich grow kind. The beloved young lady raised in the Song family since childhood is gentle and kind." In the midst of the chatter, Song Jingqing whispered a suggestion to his parents. "The guests here today are either rich or noble. Having Jiangshi stay any longer will definitely bring great negative impact to our Song family." Just as my parents frowned in helplessness and were about to ask me to leave early, suddenly, the doors of the banquet hall were pushed open, and a cold male voice spoke. "My apologies, I'm late for Miss Song's birthday celebration." 7. The moment the guest was recognized, a wave of commotion swept through the entire banquet hall. It turns out he's Gu Yan, the heir to the Gu Group, the top conglomerate in the country. "What's young Master Gu doing here? Didn't you hear? He's here for Miss Song's birthday party." Master Gu is finally at that age to marry. He must have taken a fancy to the young lady. Song Xinai must have saved the galaxy in her past life, with a brother like Song Jingqing, a CEO, and Qi Rui, a tech genius, watching over her. Even Mr. Gu seems to have taken a liking to her now. If you ask me, the Song family shouldn't have taken back that second daughter. It would have saved them from embarrassment in front of Mr. Gu upon seeing Gu Yan. Uninvited, Song Jingqing was momentarily stunned, then immediately told his parents, Mr. Gu must think that Song Corporation has been doing well under my management these past few years, which is why he came here to support Xinai. Meanwhile, Song Xinai hurriedly straightened her clothes. Don't worry, Mom and Dad, your daughter will never bring shame to you. Just moments ago, Qi Rui was basking in the spotlight, but within 2 minutes, he was once again ignored and lost in the crowd though. His eyes betrayed jealousy. He still looked at me with disdain. Now you know how amazing Xinai is, huh? So what if you broke up with me and became a rich girl? Do you really think people in this circle will respect you? This nouveau riche, look at you now, a delusional clown. I just smirked and gestured for him to look down. The research lab invitation that Song Xinai had once cherished was now carelessly tossed on the ground, trampled and ruined by everyone just as my parents and Song Jingqing surrounded Song Xinai to greet Gu Yan. The man completely ignored them and came straight to me. I apologize for being a bit late in preparing your birthday gift. The heir of the Gu Corporation came straight to me, and amidst the confused gasps, Song Jingqing quickly ran over, pulled me back, and extended his hand first. Mr. Gu, you've misunderstood. My sister Xinai is over there. Xinai hurried over, almost tripping over her own dress in her haste. Hello, Mr. Gu, I'm Song Xinai, the daughter of the Song family. Thank you for coming to my birthday party. Perhaps inspired by her near fall earlier, Song Xinai suddenly stumbled and fell into Gu Yan's arms, letting out a soft, startled cry. To everyone's surprise, Gu Yan swiftly stepped back, allowing Song Xinai to fall solidly to the ground. Qi Rui quickly rushed over. Xinai, are you okay? Unaware of the Gu family's formidable reputation, Qi Rui even attempted to stand his ground and protect his beloved young lady. Sir, can't you see Miss Song has fallen? What a complete lack of gentlemanly manners. However, Qi Rui, who fancied himself brave, was immediately shaken off by Song Xinai with utter disdain. Qi, pay attention to your status. I only invited you out of pity because of your poverty. What makes you think you can touch me in public like that and be so rude to Master Gu? Apologize to Master Gu right now. Seeing Song Xinai, who had always been gentle with him, act like a completely different person, Qi Rui stood frozen in place. In my previous life, Qi Rui had to help Song Xinai keep me stable until my death. When he finally had the right to confess his feelings to Song Xinai, by then, he had already achieved success and reached the same social class as Song Xinai. Thanks to my support, even if he wins a scientific research award now, it still pales in comparison to the Gu group. With a single glance from Song Jingqing, several bodyguards immediately intercepted Qi Rui. Xinai is outstanding, so it's natural for her to have many suitors. I hope President Gu won't take offense, but Mr. Gu, rest assured, my sister would never associate with those overreaching fools. Mr. Gu, your presence at my sister's birthday celebration today is an honor for the Song family. As Song Jingqing reached out to Gu Yan again, the exasperated Gu Yan finally frowned and asked him, who exactly are you? With Song Jingqing looking thoroughly embarrassed, I walked up to Gu Yan and explained with a smile, he's part of our family, an adopted son. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, I led Gu Yan over to my utterly astonished parents. Mom, Dad, I've done what I promised. Can I make my birthday wish now? I wish to regain control of the company from Song Jingqing immediately. 8. Before the birthday banquet, I had made an agreement with my parents. As long as I could invite someone from the Gu Corporation to the banquet, they had to agree to let me manage the group. Back then, my parents just thought I was trying to compete with Song Xinai for attention and didn't take it seriously. Now that they've truly seen Gu Yan, even my parents are baffled. When Song Jingqing heard I wanted to take over the company, his proud, steadfast and prudent demeanor vanished, and he jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Jiangshi, what nonsense are you talking about? You, a woman who just got back, have the nerve to demand control of the company. Are you even aware of the nonsense you're spouting? Yet Gu Yan merely shot him a glance. I was wondering how the once reputable Song group has been on such a steady decline these past years. Turns out it was handed over to someone with such a narrow-minded vision to steer the ship. As he spoke, Gu Yan looked toward my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Song, with such an outstanding biological daughter, you choose to hand over the family business to an adopted son, Mr. Gu simply cannot understand this. Xinai Song, who had just gotten up from the ground, hurriedly squeezed over. Mr. Gu must have misunderstood. Did you hear about the outstanding Song family's daughter? My second sister is newly recognized. She can barely read a few characters. The Song family's daughter you heard about should be me. Gu Yan didn't even acknowledge her, directly taking a contract from his assistant and handing it to me. Jiangshi, your foresight is indeed accurate. My investment risks have indeed been mitigated as per your prediction. This is what I promised you, a 10% stake in the Gu Group, and, he looked around, speaking in a deep voice, as long as Song Jiang involves Miss Shi, the Gu family will not stand idly by. Mr. Song, please carefully consider who will take over the Song family in the future. Wave after wave of exclamations swept through like a tidal surge, seeing the stunned faces of Song Jingqing, Song Xinai, and Qi Rui. I took the contract. While they were plotting to embarrass me in the first dimension, I was watching them like a creator from a higher dimension, observing a few ants conspiring. While they were busy scheming against me, I had already found the Gu Group. Whether in my past life or this one, the Gu Group has always been unparalleled. Perhaps it's truly a matter of genetic wonder. As in my previous life, through odd jobs and reselling, I went from nothing to owning a small trading company. Qi Rui kept instilling in me the idea that women should serve the family, repeatedly blocking my opportunities and preventing me from ever succeeding in building my own career. In my previous life, I was always fond of the memoir written by Gu Yan, the CEO of the Gu Group, which documented his only investment failure. Now, in this new life, I am right before that failed investment. Relying on the reputation of the Song family, I secured my entry into the Gu Group and stubbornly stayed by Gu Yan's side, helping him cut his losses in time. I laid all my cards on the table, holding nothing back about my ambitions. What belongs to my family, I have no intention of handing over to anyone else. Gu Yan, who had also weathered his own succession battle, saw his wariness toward me gradually dissolve as he listened to my projections for the future development of various industries. After 10 hours of deep conversation, he shook my hand with great solemnity. If I can't help you regain your Song family, the Gu family's door will always be open to you, so I don't care about my parents' momentary bias. I don't care if the dress is too small or too big. And I don't care about Qi Rui's public evaluation of me. I don't even care about what everyone thinks of me, because what I want is not to rely on a big tree, but to grow my own support by rooting and absorbing their nutrients. After hearing Gu Yan praise my business foresight, my father immediately agreed to return Song Jingqing's control to me. Just as the three of them, resentment burning in their eyes, were about to leave, I called them back. You just put on a little show for everyone. Well, now my guests have arrived. It's my turn to treat everyone to a few good shows. 9. Gu Yan brought me the latest tech big screen, and I took out the evidence I had prepared long ago. First, a stack of remittance slips. These are the remittances I made to Qi Rui over the years by saving and scrimping tuition, living expenses, tutoring fees. Every single payment is meticulously itemized. Qi Rui, Song Xinai merely used a fraction of her pocket money to cover your tuition once. And you're falling all over yourself with gratitude for her. Yet the money I sweated and bled to give you back then, you took for granted. The tuition for that tutoring class where you first met your kind-hearted Miss Xinai. I risked my life gathering mountain goods on a cliff to pay for it. Yet, just to keep me from coming home and threatening Song Xinai's position, you didn't hesitate to threaten me with a breakup. Just as Qi Rui was about to flatly deny it, I threw the letters he had written to Song Xinai right in front of everyone. In my past life, these unsent love letters were hailed by everyone as the purest form of love. Relying on my memories from that past life, I took a few with me when I left. They clearly stated, "My dearest, young Master Song has ordered me to keep Jiangshi here by any means necessary, to prevent her from returning to her family and threatening your position. So even though I don't love her, I must endure the disgust and keep her by my side. Every time I see her chapped, rough hands as she gives me money, I can't help but think of your flawless, ivory white hands playing the piano." My parents looked at the remittance slips, the tuition fees, the unsent letters, and then at my own rough hands, and were filled with fury. "You despicable beast, how could you do this to our daughter? How dare you pretend to be a tech talent when you're sucking the life out of my daughter to pay for your education?" Gu Yan also crossed her arms, coldly looking at him as if he were trash. "I didn't create Qidian to provide a place for scum like you. As the founder of Qidian Research Lab, I'm informing you that your invitation has been revoked." Reeling from the successive blows, Qi Rui's legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground. Of course, he had no idea that Gu Yan was the founder of Singularity, Nor did he know that the invitation letter was a hook I had deliberately cast for him. He knelt on the floor, his eyes filled with utter helplessness, while the jeers and curses branding him as heartless and ungrateful echoed in his ears. He tried to reach out to Song Xinai, only to be met with disgusted avoidance. When he turned to Song Jingqing, he was impatiently kicked away. In the end, he even tried to grovel at my feet, but at my father's command, the bodyguards promptly threw him out the door. The next instant, my father glared furiously at Song Jingqing. And you, when we adopted you, it was indeed to have you protect Xinai. But how could you treat Jiangshi like this? She is our biological daughter. She is the one you should be protecting. Why did you do that? The words adoption caused Song Jingqing to fall from his high position as the heir of the Song family. The young ladies who admired him immediately showed disdain. Song Jingqing merely turned pale and remained silent. Because I just can't bear to see such a pure girl being taken advantage of. And you've seen the facts yourselves. Jiangshi has caused so much trouble. It was Jiangshi who ruined our once great Song family. Mom and Dad, isn't it enough to have me and my sister? Why must you bring her back? Hearing his forced reasoning, I let out a cold laugh. Sister, Song Jingqing, do you really see Song Xinai as just a sister? With a snap of my fingers, a video immediately appeared on the large screen in Song Jingqing's room. He lay on the bed, completely absorbed in self-gratification. 10 as Song Jingqing passionately cried out Song Xinai's name. A torrent of disgusted curses erupted like a roaring tide. The mother slapped Song Jingqing across the face. You inhumane beast. The father was even angrier, grinding his teeth. Get out. Go back from where you came. You are no longer part of the Song family. Seeing Song Jingqing's angry gaze, I curl my lips. Oh, the surveillance. That was something my brother taught me. Song Jingqing, covering his face like a defeated rooster, looks at Song Xinai. I'm sorry, Xinai. This is as far as I can protect you. Yet Song Xinai, whom he had shielded for years, looked at him as if he were a piece of vile filth. You disgust me. Get away from me, you freak. Song Xinai wept, her tears falling like rain-drenched pear blossoms, as she hid behind my parents, Mom and Dad. I know nothing. They did it all. I know nothing. Song Xinai knelt at my feet. Sister, I'm innocent, though, but it really was because of me that my sister was wronged. Xinai begs for forgiveness with a kowtow. Please don't hold it against Xinai. Sister, please don't drive Xinai away. Sister, Xinai really doesn't know where else to go besides this home. She kowtowed while crying, then clung to her parents' legs, sobbing and pleading. Meanwhile, Song Jingqing and Qi Rui, who were about to be dragged away, were still pleading for her. Jiangshi, if anyone owes an apology, it's us who owe it to you. Why are you yelling at Xinai? She's so pure, kind, and lovely. She doesn't owe you anything from start to finish. I signaled for the bodyguard to wait. So this is the kind, innocent, and adorable person you've been talking about. Footage played, showing Song Xinai mingling with people in a nightclub, dressed provocatively with a face full of lust. Then the scene shifted to her bullying classmates at school, her innocent face now contorted with contempt and malice. You, how do you have these? Song Xinai stood frozen in place. But all of this happened before you came back. Realizing her slip of the tongue, Song Xinai quickly shut her mouth, while Gu Yan crossed his arms. I did say that if Miss Jiangshi needs help, the Gu family won't stand idly by. Miss Song Xinai, I do know you, but it's not about hearing how excellent you are. It's about knowing that the Song family's daughter is quite wild behind closed doors. Seeing my parents' disappointed looks, I dropped the final bombshell. Song Xinai, are you really telling me you know nothing about your own background? Then perhaps you can explain what these bank transfer records are all about. While investigating Song Xinai at my request, Gu Yan made an unexpected discovery. She had a recurring monthly expense. By tracing that account, we found out that Song Xinai had actually been in contact with her biological mother for some time. Under some rather forceful persuasion from Gu Yan's men, her biological mother eventually recorded a video confession. Xinai sends me money every month. When we found out that the Song family had located that girl, Xinai told me not to worry, that she had a sycophant who could help prevent the real heiress from returning. But later, it failed, and the girl still went back. I had wanted Xinai to take some money and run away with me, but she asked why we should give up the entire Song family. She also said that as long as the Song couple died, she would still be the only nominal heir to the Song family. Xinai is truly heartless. She actually wanted me to apply as a nanny for the Song family, so I could find an opportunity to poison the Song couple and that Jiangshi. Shocked to the core by those chilling words, my parents, their hearts utterly broken, finally called the police themselves. Song Xinai and her biological mother were sentenced to prison, convicted on multiple charges. With no one left to support him, Chi Rui soon faced dire financial straits. Being rejected by Singularity was tantamount to being blacklisted from the entire industry, unable to even pay his tuition for the final semester of his senior year. He ultimately failed to get his diploma. With nowhere else to turn, a desperate Chi Rui went to find Song Jingqing, demanding an explanation and compensation. "It's all because of you and that bitch. If it weren't for that, I'd be the esteemed son-in-law of the Song group by now. What prestige, you have to pay for this." After being cast out of the Song family, Song Jingqing had initially wanted to start his own business. Following several failures, he was further dragged down by his originally impoverished family until he couldn't get back on his feet. After a heated argument with Chi Rui, the two got into a fight, tumbled together, and fell off a cliff. Chi Rui lost his leg and became crippled, while Song Jingqing hit his head and became an idiot. And after being imprisoned, Song Xinai died. It turned out that after being imprisoned, Song Xinai had several times wanted to bite her own mother's throat. "Why did you betray me? I was born from you. Why didn't you take all the blame?" Finally, Song Xinai's birth mother couldn't take it anymore. One night, while Song Xinai was using the toilet, she drowned her in the chamber pot. "This is where you belong." I didn't tell my parents about this news. They had already gone abroad to enjoy their retirement. 10 years after my rebirth, the Song Corporation I took over had already reached par with the Gu Corporation. Gu Yan, who had been pursuing me all along, was always curious to ask me, "How do you always manage to accurately gauge the trends?" I raised an eyebrow at him. "What if I told you this is my second chance at life? Would you believe me?" He raised an eyebrow in return, neither confirming nor denying, and simply asked me, "So, Miss Song, are you happy in this life of yours?" I was driving at the time, and my grip tightened on the steering wheel. "I'm so happy. Take hold of your own destiny, and the future will only bring more and more joy." The end. Story 2. 2 weeks before the wedding, my hearing, which I had lost years ago saving Gu Peichen, miraculously returned after a high fever. I thought it was a wedding gift from heaven. I immediately hailed a cab in excitement to find him at his company, but so many years had passed. The first thing he said was, "Wan, I've had enough of her moral blackmail. The person I want to marry is you. Since she insists on using her parents' death to force me into marrying her, I'll prove my determination by running away from the wedding." The next second, Su Wanwan used Gu Peiben's phone to call me, and I numbingly swiped to answer. On the phone, they were breathing heavily, and Gu Peiben was anxious to hang up. Su Wanyue raised her phone high. "What are you afraid of? She's deaf anyway, and isn't this even more exciting?" As I listened to the obscene sounds of pleasure from the phone, I pressed the record button, my heart sinking to the depths. On the day of the wedding, I bought a ticket to London facing Gu Peichen's frantic accusations. I sent the recording over. "Gu Peichen, I can hear you." "Who?" I almost collapsed to the ground, accidentally bumping into the glass door. Gu Peichen's voice came from inside. Everything blurred before my eyes, and the embarrassment made me unconsciously hold my breath. A moment later, probably not hearing any more noise, intense, interwoven breaths came from inside again. I don't know how I got home. When I turned on the light, I saw the trail of bloody footprints at the door. Only then did I realize that I was so anxious to find Gu Peichen that I forgot to put on my shoes. Numbly, I pulled the shard of glass from the sole of my foot, taking a chunk of flesh with it. Yet, the pain was nothing compared to the ache in my heart. The high fever still hadn't broken. I lay in a daze on the sofa, my tears slowly soaking into the pillow. How I wish this were all just a dream. It was all just a dream, and in half a month, I would still be Gu Peichen's bride, walking toward the wedding and harbor I had been looking forward to for 10 years. But the sounds of a child crying upstairs and car horns outside the window all told me that this was real. After an unknown amount of time, a sharp pain shot through the sole of my foot. I opened my eyes to see Gu Peichen holding my foot, carefully picking out the remaining shards of glass and then tenderly applying medicine. It's been 10 years. Taking care of me seems to have become his habit. He skillfully bandaged me up. Seeing me looking at him, he didn't ask where the injury on my foot came from. Instead, he complained with obvious impatience, "Knowing you're deaf, why don't you just stay at home?" Probably realizing that a deaf person can't hear, he frowned and said coldly, "That's exactly why I don't want to marry someone like you." Those words tightened my heart. I remember back in high school, a group of kids followed me all the way, laughing and joking, but I couldn't hear what they were saying, so I just kept walking as if nothing was wrong. But Gu Peichen, who had come to pick me up, rushed over without a word and started fighting with them. In the end, he was covered in bruises and held me in his arms, his heart aching for me. I was baffled and asked him why he had to fight. they called you deaf. Lin Yen, you're not deaf, you have ears, and I'm your ears. That day, he cried so bitterly. It was the first time I truly realized how bleak and harsh the world of the deaf is, but I didn't care. Because Gupachan had promised that he would always be my ears. Now my ears have been found. How did this word deaf come out of Gupachan's mouth? Tears were almost impossible to hold back. I dug my nails hard into my own palm. Something must have been off about my expression. Pressing his lips into a thin line, he signed to me quickly, "Does it hurt?" Before I could even answer, his phone buzzed right in front of me. He played Song Wanwan's voice message. "Mr. Gu, you're so naughty, that kiss made my legs go all weak." Song Wanwan and Gupachan were university classmates. After returning to the country, she became his executive assistant. The two of them often exchanged voice messages even though it was sometimes in the middle of the night. I always trusted Gupachan and assumed they were just discussing work. Want to try something even worse? After sending the reply, Gupachan couldn't wipe the smile off his face. "Who are you talking to?" I spoke up out of the blue, startling Gupachan, but he quickly composed himself and signed to me. "A client has an urgent shipment." The moment he finished signing to me, he immediately sent a voice message to the other person. "I bought Lin Yan a set of lingerie. It looks nice. I'll get another set next time for you to wear for me. I don't want to wear the same thing as that cripple." I limped toward the room, unable to bear their explicit dialogue any longer. I clutched the family photo with my parents, curled up in bed, and covered my ears with a blanket. I let the overwhelming despair engulf me. Unfortunately, the door was too thin, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't block out the unrestrained laughter of the two outside. Every word, every sentence, feels like slow torture. "This Gupachan is really filthy. I don't want him anymore." They hadn't been talking long when a loud door slam echoed from the living room. I sat up in bed. It's midnight now, and it's obvious what he's up to. The night breeze blowing in through the windows gradually clears my muddled mind. I glance at the bedside table where I placed the gilded invitation I spent half a month selecting. I dialed my uncle's number. "Uncle, I want to come visit you and my grandparents." My uncle's voice was full of concern over the phone. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Then, remembering I couldn't hear, he fell silent, and the only sound was the soft tap-tap-tap of him typing on his phone. "No, nothing's wrong. I just miss you all." As I spoke, my voice began to tremble with tears. Initially, my uncle, who was working overseas, brought my grandparents along with him. When he learned about my parents' accident, he immediately returned to China, wanting to take me with him. At first, it was because I had psychological issues and insisted on staying in the small house filled with my parents' presence. Later, it was because I couldn't bear to leave Gupachan. So despite my grandparents repeatedly saying they missed me, I didn't agree. "It's good that you've figured it out. It's good that you've figured it out." My uncle was so excited that he was incoherent, and soon he realized something was wrong with me. "Nyanian, your ears." "Yes, I can hear now." After a brief conversation, I hung up the phone. My uncle booked a ticket for me, just in time for the wedding. Seeing the dozen messages my uncle sent, my nose tingled with emotion. All these years, I refused to reunite with my uncle and his family just for someone like Gupachan. I really am an idiot. Gupachan didn't come back until the dead of night. He slipped into bed, bringing with him a chill from the cold air and the overwhelming scent of perfume. Ever since my parents passed away, I felt profoundly insecure. Only in his arms could I find a peaceful sleep. But today, I avoided Gupachan's habitual attempt to drape his arm over me and, to my surprise, slept soundly through the night. The next morning, as soon as I woke up, I saw that set of black lace lingerie in the laundry basket, the one I had never worn. I thought about their conversation from last night. I threw the lingerie into the trash. I wonder if my attitude last night put Gupachan on alert. He, who hadn't shared a meal with me in half a year, surprisingly made breakfast himself. Looking at the seafood congee on the table, I pushed it aside and silently began looking up the visa application process. Gupachan's phone kept buzzing with incoming messages. In the voice message, Song Wanwan playfully wished him good morning, complaining that he had been too rough with her the night before, leaving her back sore. She insisted that only a massage from his own hands would make it better. Without looking at me, Gupachan pressed the voice message button, a smile in his eyes. "Is it really that I was too rough? Or is it that a certain little minx can never get enough? Lin Yan bought me some massage balm last time. I'll bring it over for you." I looked up at him. His attitude was so casual, so natural. I feared this exact scene must have played out countless times over the years. They chatted back and forth for a while. Gupachan noticed that I hadn't taken a bite. "Don't like it." I put down the spoon. "A bug just fell in. It's dirty. So gross." His fingers, constantly typing messages, finally paused for a few seconds, a flicker of impatience in his eyes. "Why don't you eat yourself to death?" he grumbled. Frowning as he poured the porridge from my bowl into the trash, then, using sign language, he asked if I wanted him to make me a new sandwich. I shook my head, passing by the calendar. I saw the date for my wedding dress fitting. It had already passed a week ago. I used to wonder what job could possibly be more important than getting married, but after scrolling through Su Wanwan's social media, I realized he had no time for our wedding photo shoot, yet found plenty of time to go hiking, watch the sea, and soak in hot springs with his little assistant. I calmly tore off that page and tossed it into the trash. Then I turned around and went back inside. The sound of the crumpled paper landing in the trash finally snapped him out of it. He stared at the closed door, feeling that something was different. His unease drove him to follow. As he pushed the door open, I had just finished my call. He froze, watching me turn off the screen, standing there like he'd been struck by lightning. "Were you on the phone?" I looked at him with a half smile. When I remained silent, he signed it to me again. "It's a sales ad." When I said that, he still leaned over to check, until he saw the prompt on the screen that 143 people had marked as sales ads. His tense, rigid back relaxed, and he didn't delve further into the topic. He smiled and signed to me. "Shall I accompany you to try on wedding dresses today?" At 18, Gu Peichen once stood in front of a wedding dress display window with Lin Yen, dreaming of making her his most beautiful bride in the future. At 15, Lin Yen nodded with a smile, and from then on, her birthday wish every year was to marry Gu Peichen. I nodded, just to fulfill a remnant dream for the Gu Peichen and Lin Yen. In the bridal shop, I stood wearing a pure white wedding dress, a burn scar exposed on my shoulder. The shop assistant looked at me hesitantly. "Miss Lin, why not try this one instead? This is the 5th one already." The scar was left when I saved Gu Peichen from the fire. "It's quite large and not easy to cover." A flicker of guilt flashed in Gu Peichen's eyes. After a flurry of finger movements, he finally pressed the screen to turn it off. He reached out to touch the scar as he had done countless times before, but I subtly moved away without a word. His hand froze in midair. "Crowded," I offered half-heartedly. The confusion in his eyes faded, and instead, he tightened his grip on my hand and kissed my fingertips. "Are you upset?" "It's okay, Nian Nian. You're always the most beautiful in my heart." I felt a bit disoriented, as if I could see Gu Peiban at 18 through him, but in an instant, I snapped back to reality. Our relationship is like this wedding dress. Either it's too ugly in style, or it can't cover the scars. Most importantly, he was already tainted. I withdrew my hand, acknowledged with a nonchalant murmur, and turned to change into the next outfit. Just as I had finished slipping out of the wedding gown and was standing there in nothing but my undergarments, Gu Peichen's phone rang outside the fitting room. Su Wanyua's sweet and soft voice came through. She said her period had come, and her stomach hurt so much it felt like she was dying. Gu Peichen hurriedly comforted her. I quickly put on the clothes I arrived in. In the next second, Gu Peichen pushed open the fitting room door without regard for the sales assistant's protests. "Lin Yen, are you dead in there? So slow." His finger was still on the voice button, his tone suddenly softening. "Don't be afraid, I'm coming to be with you now." I stared at him intently, and a flicker of guilt flashed in his eyes. Noticing the tension, the sales assistant, "You're about to get married." The groom could be a bit gentler in his tone. Gu Peibin chuckled coldly. "She's just a deaf person. Do I really need to watch my tone when talking to her?" Perhaps this statement comforted not only others but also himself. The hint of guilt in his eyes immediately vanished. He didn't care why I stopped trying on wedding dresses. The next second after sending the voice message, he told me in sign language with a stern expression that something urgent had happened at the company and he had to leave immediately. After saying that, he left without looking back. Su Wanyua's coquettish voice seemed to still echo in the shop. The sales assistant witnessed a peculiar love triangle firsthand. Her gaze at me was filled with sympathy. I placed the wedding dress in her hands, and she asked me, why not reschedule for another day to try it on? After saying that, she realized I couldn't hear and was about to fetch paper and pen to communicate with me. I gave her a smile. "No need, you can keep the deposit." You could hear that. Then just now, under her astonished gaze, I stopped the recording in my pocket, gave her a faint, knowing smile, and turned to leave. For the next few days, Gu Peichen didn't come home, only appearing now and then in Su Wanwan's social media posts. While I was packing, I accidentally found his other phone. What I saw inside chilled my recently calmed heart to the bone all over again. During the time when the two of them were inseparable, I got my visa sorted. Then, I began packing up the house. We've been together for 10 years now. We share far too many memories. Back then, he saved up his allowance for half a year to buy the best camera. He was always coaxing and begging to take my picture, saying every single day we had together was precious and worth documenting properly. But ever since Song Wanwan came back, even during the new year, when I wanted to take a family photo with him, he called me childish and impatiently brushed my hand away. Meanwhile, in Song Wanyan's social media, there would be cozy selfies of the two of them. I was once deaf and blind, failing to see such obvious provocation. After collecting thousands of their photos, I burned them all to ashes. The flames reflected on my face, just like the day my parents passed away. Gu Peichin came back with just 8 days left until the wedding. He looked utterly exhausted. The moment he pushed the door open, he frowned at me. Why does the place feel so empty? I didn't say a word. He couldn't be bothered to dwell on such a trivial matter and instead asked me with a smile, "Have you picked out the wedding dress yet?" Seeing me nod, a flicker of satisfaction crossed his eyes. "Good," he said. He then turned and went into the bathroom to wash up. I noticed his running shoes placed by the entryway. I opened it and took a look. It was exactly the same as the one Song Wanyan posted on her Moments tonight, except hers were women's sizes. Her caption on Moments read, "We're about to head toward the happiness that belongs to us." The next morning, Gu Peichin went to the company as usual. I looked at the home I had personally arranged, now empty and bare, and let out a long sigh. Am I really so cleanly removed that I won't affect their pursuit of happiness? The night before the wedding, a friend of Gu Peichin called me. He said he was drunk and wanted me to pick him up. As I entered, his friends teased him, "Mr. Gu, your little deaf one is here to take you home." Song Wanyan smiled smugly, pushed Gu Peichin off her, and pretended to speak up for me in a fake, high-pitched voice. "Oh, you guys, don't bully the disabled." She then leaned close to Gu Peichin's ear and whispered, "Mr. Gu, Lin Yan is here." Gu Peichin, reeking of alcohol, stumbled over to me and shook my shoulders forcefully. "Lin Yan, why didn't you die with your parents in that fire? Have you really sunk this low? I've already agreed to marry you, yet you still follow me around like a lapdog all day." I was already planning to leave, thinking that no matter what I saw or heard, my heart wouldn't stir anymore. But now, I'm so filled with grief and anger that my heart is trembling. "Gu Peichin." I struggled to suppress my emotions and softly called his name. Then, taking a deep breath, I looked at him firmly and said, "I won't be a dog anymore." Gu Peichin in front of me. His drunken eyes instantly cleared, and he looked at me with uncertainty. "You." Before he could figure out what was going on, Song Wanyue deliberately stepped closer, challenging me with her gaze. "Mr. Gu, are you coming with me or with Lin Yan?" A minor interruption broke Gu Peichin's train of thought. He disregarded everything else, pushing me away forcefully and then, acting drunk, wrapped his arms around Song Wanyue's waist. "Of course it's you. How can she compare to you? She's just a deaf person." I was shoved so hard that I slammed into the coffee table, and a sharp pain shot through my knee. His friends in the private room roared with laughter, their eyes fixed on me as I struggled to get up from the floor. Words like deaf, clown, and cripple pierced my ears, one after another, yet Gu Peichin's expression remained utterly unchanged, not a flicker of anger on his face. I thought to myself, if it were me, I wouldn't stand by and watch. Not even if a stranger with a disability was being humiliated by a pack of animals like this, especially since I've been his partner for 10 years. My disappointment in him hit rock bottom at that moment. I grabbed a bottle and smashed it over the head of the one laughing the loudest. "Is mocking a disabled person something to be proud of?" "What?" The man stared at me, dumbfounded. Shards of the bottle flew everywhere before they could even react. I turned my gaze to Gu Peichin and sneered, "Just a dirty old man, you think I care?" Then I limped out of the private room. From inside the room came the sound of furious shouts. Someone was calling my name. Who cares? Animals belong with animals. That night, Gu Peichin finally went home with Song Wanyuan. The next morning, I left the ring he personally put on my finger during the proposal on the coffee table. In the taxi heading to the airport, Gu Peichin's parents called me many times. I didn't answer any of them. Gu Peichin must have sobered up. He texted me, asking when I'd arrive, saying I must look especially beautiful today and how much he was looking forward to it. Thinking of those matching running shoes, I quietly blocked him. Just a minute before boarding the plane, an unfamiliar number called me. I swiped to answer, and Gu Peichin loudly scolded me for being late on my wedding day, claiming that all the guests were waiting for me. I found it amusing. How could someone who was still rolling around in bed with another woman the night before the wedding have the nerve to question me? How dare he have the audacity to question me? The boarding announcement sounded right on cue. His voice froze, and he asked me where I was with a nervous tremor. Then, realizing I couldn't hear him, he panicked and tried to hang up to text me instead. Just a second before he ended the call, I spoke calmly, "Gu Peichin, I can hear you." Before he could even react, I hung up the phone. I sent him the recording of his intense entanglement with Su Wanwan. Then I turned off my phone, put on my sleep mask, and sank into a deep sleep. In my dream, a fire blazed, illuminating nearly half the city. It was the young Gu Peichin, crying out for help amidst the sea of flames. It was my parents, rushing into the inferno to save him. A collapsing desk struck them, blood gushing from their mouths and noses, yet they desperately pushed him toward the door. It was the scene of my younger self, struggling to drag Gupachan out of the fire, only to be struck by a burning doorframe, which left me permanently deaf. And then, it was the young Gupachan, dragging his broken leg, kneeling before me and vowing, word by word, Lin Yin, I swear to you, I will never betray you. The chaotic dream jolted me awake in a cold sweat. So, Mom and Dad, was all of this really worth it? When I woke up again, the plane was just about to land. I turned on my phone to find over 100 missed calls and unfamiliar messages. I didn't even need to look hard. Among the sea of blonde hair and blue eyes, I spotted my uncle instantly. Standing beside him were my grandparents, their hair now silver. My parents' death didn't just rob my childhood of its safe harbor, it inflicted an unspeakable pain on the two elderly souls. Nian Nian, my dear child, you've been through so much. With tears streaming down her face, my grandmother lovingly caressed my face, which resembled my mother's so closely the pent-up suddenly burst forth. I hugged my grandmother tightly, unable to hold back my tears, and sobbed uncontrollably. My grandmother gently patted my back. Good, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, you're home now. They formed a protective circle around me as we all headed out of the airport. We hadn't gone more than a few steps when my uncle's phone rang. It was a call from the Gu family parents. He looked at me with an apologetic expression. Nian Nian, the Gu family has been calling me nonstop. I didn't know what was going on between you, so I didn't answer. But no matter what, we will always be your support. I nodded, took the phone from my uncle's hand, and swiped to answer. No matter how Gupachan treats me, Gu's parents are never at fault. Nyanian, where have you been? Auntie is so worried. Did Pachan upset you? Come back. Auntie will help you scold him. Okay. Before I could even reply, the phone was snatched away on the other end. Gupachan's voice was thick with bitterness and excitement. Nian Nian, it's me. What is it? He was stunned for a moment, then spoke in a trembling, disbelieving voice. You really can hear me. Thank heavens. I thought I was hallucinating before. I got the recording you sent me. But Nian Nian, it's all a misunderstanding. Please, just come back. After all these years, there's so much I need to say to you. I fell into a confused silence. It wasn't until my hearing returned that I learned Gupachan had always seen me as an obstacle to his happiness. Faced with his parents' pressure to marry me, even though I was completely in the dark, he had no qualms about rebelling by jilting me at the altar, no matter how much it would hurt me. Now that I'm stepping aside and letting him run off to his happily ever after with Su Wanwan, what's his problem now? Is it like how they always need to call me or have me around when they flirt, just to make it more thrilling? Does something like running away from a wedding also require me to be there, sobbing and falling apart in the background, to better showcase how priceless their true love is? My silence only made his tone grow more impatient. This recording was synthesized by someone else. Please believe me, you can't imagine how terrified I was to see the empty house and the ring on the coffee table. His words were sincere and heartfelt. I couldn't help but let out a scoff. Gupei Bin, what? Not thrilling enough to escape the wedding without me as a control group? Or is it that you're not used to not having me as your sycophant, following you around, begging for your attention? Didn't you think the whole world was morally coercing you into marrying me? Now I'm gone, and no one will force you anymore. From now on, you're free. And I wish you and Su Wanyue a lifetime together. Oh, and that recording, I made it myself. I immediately took the phone away. Over the phone, Gupei Bin was desperately pleading. What do you mean by running away from the wedding? Nian Nian, you've misunderstood me. Let's talk. Without giving him a chance to finish, I handed the phone back to my uncle. Their faces were grim. After all, this call was enough for them to guess what had happened. My grandmother didn't speak, just patted my hand repeatedly, tears streaming down her face. My uncle couldn't help but curse. Beast. I forced a smile. It's all in the past. When I went to my uncle's house, I discovered that he already had his own company abroad. However, he was so focused on his career that he hadn't met the right person yet. The next morning, my grandparents made delicious steamed buns while my grandmother combed my hair. She mentioned that this was my mother's favorite dish. I feel like my heart, which Gupachan has wounded so deeply, is being nurtured back to life with love. My grandfather, a quiet and reserved old man, always watches me with a loving gaze. I followed them to the British Museum, where I saw many artifacts featured in the viral short drama. I took a photo with them at the Tower of London, no longer being ridiculed for being childish. My uncle arranged for me to work in his company. I felt a happiness I hadn't experienced since my parents passed away. I changed my number, thinking it would mark the end of my ties with Gupachan. I can't believe it's only been a week. Then, on my way home from work, I saw a familiar figure under the streetlight. He stumbled toward me step by step, his eyes filled with sorrow. As he got closer, he reached out to embrace me, but my icy stare stopped him cold. Nyen Nyen, I've been looking for you for so long. Are you okay? I tried to walk around him, but he stubbornly blocked my path. I could only say coldly, if you're not blind, you should be able to see that I'm 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times better off now than when I was with you. He stood there with his mouth open, silent for a long moment. Just as I was about to leave, he suddenly grabbed my sleeve. His voice was urgent. The wedding and the matter with Su Wanyue, they're all misunderstandings. I won't blame you for running away, but come back with me. Let's clear up these misunderstandings, okay? I find it laughable. So is this what it means to appreciate something only after losing it? But what makes him think that after doing all those things to me, I would still go back with him? Does he have no shame? Seeing that I couldn't shake him off, I didn't hesitate to slap him with my other hand. Gu Peibin, you are truly filthy and despicable. Hearing this, he froze in place. For the past decade, I was an orphan girl who had lost my parents and was also deaf in both ears. I saw him as my sole pillar of support, but later, when my hearing returned, I heard him brazenly flirting with Su Wanwan right in front of me while chatting with him and his brothers in the group. His brothers asked him, "What if little Deefy finds out about your relationship with Wayner?" At that moment, he was gently signing to me, "I love you." Meanwhile, he was saying in the group chat, "She's so cheap, she can't live without me. Even if she finds out, she won't leave me. Nyen Nyen, don't treat me like this. It hurts my heart." His wounded expression made me feel uneasy. "It's really disgusting." I smiled and took a step back. Should I call Su Wanyue? I pointed at his chest again, where Su Wanyue's name was tattooed. "Since you love putting on a show so much, it must feel a bit dull without the main audience, right? You got your hearing back a long time ago." That's when it dawned on me why he had the nerve to show up in front of me with such confidence. He probably thought I'd only just regained my hearing in the last few days. After all, no one could watch their own boyfriend do those things to them without showing any emotion. So, he wanted to see if he could keep deceiving me. Inside the villa, the aroma of sweet and sour spare ribs wafted out. I remained non-committal and turned to leave. Gu Peichen, however, stubbornly stayed crouched at the villa's entrance for a whole week. His hair was messy, his chin was unshaven, and his trench coat, wrinkled from the constant drizzle. He always looked at me with those pleading eyes, saying, "Nyanian, I will wait until you forgive me." I ignored him, even going on a few dates with a handsome mixed-race guy from my uncle's company. By the 10th day, Su Wanyan had also followed me here. Seeing Gu Peichen like this, she charged at me in a rage, calling me a slut, but Gu Peichen slapped her to the ground. Then, sobbing, she crawled to Gu Peichen's feet, begging him to return to their home country with her. Gu Peichen refused to leave, so she stayed here with him that night. After Su Wanwan presented the pregnancy test and fainted in front of Gu Peichen, he looked at me with a pained expression. "Nyen Nyen, it's all my fault. I can spend the rest of my life making it up to you, but Wanwan is innocent." He carried Su Wanwan to the hospital in the middle of the night. Su Wanyan sent me nude photos of herself and Gu Peichen from the hospital. I felt nothing, so I forwarded the photos to Gu Peichen. He stormed into my uncle's villa like a madman. I've had enough of his harassment and decided to talk to him one last time, so I had my uncle let him in the study. I looked at the flustered Gu Peichen, my gaze settling on the hickey on his neck. I spoke calmly. "What else is there to say? She forced me. Nyen Nyen, not only is she pregnant, but she also developed depression because of me. I was afraid she might do something drastic, but I've already sent her back home. Come back with me. Let's get married. Once we're married, she'll stop clinging to me." "So what you're saying is, she forced you to sleep with her?" Gu Peichen met my gaze, opened his mouth but couldn't speak. Moments later, tears streamed down his face as he clutched his head, crouching on the ground in agony. "Nyen Nyen, I know I was wrong, but I love you. It's just that you were too quiet before, and I was momentarily bewitched. I only said I'd run away from the wedding to please her. I never thought of leaving you, really. I truly regret it. You used to smile at me the most, always waiting for me at home. Nyen Nyen, you can hit me or scold me, but please don't be so cold to me, okay?" The man who used to make my heart ache just by furrowing his brow, now even his tears disgust me to no end. He was so utterly repulsive that I lost all desire to even have a proper conversation with him. Su Wanwan is certainly despicable, but in my heart, I believe Gu Peichen deserves to rot in hell even more. A vicious smile spread across my face. Do you know what I regret most? Meeting my gaze. He realized I was about to say something cruel. He covered his ears in a panic. "Don't do this to me. Nyen Nyen, I'm begging you. The biggest regret of my life is not stopping my parents the day they saved you. Is it fun to tell me you love me while sleeping with Su Wanwan? Is it fun to tattoo her English name on your body and then claim it's a declaration of love for me? Or is it fun to have a matching ring tattoo under our wedding band, just for her? Just how arrogant are you, too? Still demand that I smile for you at a time like this, Gu Peichin. Why wasn't it you who died back then? After saying that, I opened my phone, and the recordings flooded towards him, wave after wave. The last shred of hope he clung to vanished completely just as he wished. I curled the corner of my lips into a bright, beaming smile as I looked at him, his back bent inch by inch. Then, almost as if fleeing, he ran out of the villa. My uncle patted my shoulder with a look of satisfaction. My grandmother pulled me to go eat cola chicken wings. I thought I had made myself clear, but the next morning, Gu Peichin showed up at the villa entrance, covered in blood in his eyes. There was the same obsession he had when he first made a promise to me. He turned pale and lifted his shirt, the place where Su Wanyua's name was tattooed. He gouged out a piece of flesh. The area around the right ring finger was empty and void. His entire body was scrubbed until it was red and swollen. Nyen nyen, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I really was. I promised to protect you for a lifetime. Not a day less. I've repaid myself 1,000-fold for the harm I once caused you. Can you forgive me, please? As he spoke, he drove 2 steel needles into his own ears. A blood-curdling scream echoed throughout the villa complex. Blood streamed down from his ears. A crowd began to gather. It's my personal business. After all, I don't want to involve anyone else in the ambulance. He looked at me with hopeful eyes. He kept signaling to me in sign language. I didn't look at him. I escorted him to the hospital. After settling him in, I called Gu's parents. Gu's mother cried and apologized to me, but she also pleaded for Gu Peibin, asking me to give him another chance. I showed them the data I copied from the hidden phone of Gu Peibin these 10 years. It wasn't just about Song Wanyan. He had relationships with at least dozens of girls and kept photos of all of them. Gu's parents fell silent. After apologizing on Gu Peichin's behalf, they transferred nearly 90% of their assets to me as compensation, which I gladly accepted. Then, they forcibly brought Gu Peichin back to the country. Gu Peichin became deaf and his mind was no longer clear. Eventually, he married Song Wanyan. They became a mismatched couple, until Gu Peichin discovered that the child wasn't his. While Gu Peichin was emotionally detached, Song Wanyan was also playing hard, ensuring neither side came out worse off. A video of the two of them yelling at each other in front of Gu's company went viral online. In the end, the deranged Gu Peichin stabbed Song Wanyan to death as she continued to curse at him. However, since he was mentally unstable and there were extenuating circumstances, he ended up being locked away in a psychiatric hospital. I didn't want to get involved, but my uncle and grandmother took pleasure in seeing Gu Peichin's miserable state. They never tired of repeating the same phrase day after day: what goes around comes around. During those years of deafness, I missed out on so much. Like a parched sponge, I now greedily use my regained hearing every day to soak in the world with all my heart. On my birthday, an overseas call came through. When I answered, the first thing that met my ears was the sound of a howling wind. Gu Peichin began speaking, as if talking to himself. He said he regretted it, that he had only strayed a little and planned to settle down after getting married. He didn't know why it ended up like this. Finally, he said he missed me so much, that without me, he really couldn't go on. After sending a photo of the candlelit dinner, I put my phone aside and chatted with my foreign boyfriend. Gu Peichin was crying out my name in heart-wrenching sobs. Finally, there was the plop of a splash, followed by the crowd's exclamations. I knew what had happened, but my heart remained unmoved. After all, it was all his own doing, and my new life is just beginning. Story 2. When I had a massive hemorrhage during my pregnancy, Gu Yu was attending a parent-teacher meeting for his ex-girlfriend's son. He wouldn't pick up, so I had no choice but to call his ex-girlfriend. Before I could say a word, his ex-girlfriend started crying profusely, apologizing to me on behalf of her son. Gu Yu grabbed the phone, his tone slightly angry. Almost 30 years old, and you're jealous of a kid? Xianxian never had a father. What's wrong with calling me dad? After the surgery, the doctor held the deceased fetus and asked me to sign the cremation consent form. I calmly finished signing. Please send the ashes to this address, addressed to Gu Yu. When I noticed the abnormal bleeding, I called Gu Yu, begging him to come home and take me to the hospital. He scoffed, as if he'd heard something ridiculous. Bleeding, of all the times for it to happen, it had to be right when I'm here for Man's son's parent-teacher conference. You might as well have just lied and told me you had a miscarriage. Chiyu, your tactics for seeking favor are getting more and more despicable. The icy chill in his final words left me speechless. Just as I was about to explain, I heard Suman's son, Xianxian, call out to him in a clear, childish voice, "Dad, you're next to go up and give your speech." My hand jerked, and I nearly dropped my phone. Why is he calling you dad? Alright, let's talk about it tomorrow. You impatiently cut me off and hung up the phone. I couldn't get through no matter how many times I tried. Schwanschwan's kindergarten is less than a kilometer from home, and it only takes 10 minutes to get back. Unwilling to give up, I called his beloved Suman next, but she took it as me coming to pick a fight. I spent 3 days in the hospital. When I got home and opened the door, everything was exactly as it had been when the ambulance took me away. You hadn't come home for 3 days. In the past, I would have been in tears, searching for him and demanding to know if he was staying at Suman's place again, but this time, I didn't even feel like calling him, and that's exactly when he decided to show up. When he saw me, his gaze was teasing. Didn't you bleed? It stopped again. I remained silent, not willing to utter a single word in response. He thought he had seen through me. Alright, let's just let it go. I'm not mad at you, and you don't need to make a big deal out of it. You're going to be a mother yourself. Put yourself in her shoes. At the parent-teacher conference, all the other children will have their fathers there, but her son won't. How do you think Man would feel about that? Perfect timing. It'll give me a chance to practice being a proper father. I stared at him for a long moment, but couldn't be bothered to point out the absurdity in his words. Oh, by the way, I got the gift you sent to the office. You've gone to a lot of trouble, and I really like it. Seeing his sincere expression, I was taken aback and quickly realized he had mistaken the parcel as a gift I was offering to seek his forgiveness. He didn't even open it. I lowered my eyes, clenched my fists, and dug my nails into my palms. I'm glad you like it. You walked to the kitchen doorway, glanced inside, and immediately frowned. Chiyu, didn't you get the message I sent yesterday? I did receive his message. 3 braised lobster bento boxes, for our trip to the wildlife park tomorrow. Light on the oil, just a touch of salt, and make sure the lobster is Australian freshwater blue crayfish. He assumed I'd do what I always did, rush to the imported seafood market first thing in the morning, buy 3 pounds of lobster, scrub each one clean, and then prepare 3 bento boxes exactly to his specifications. Little did he expect to find the kitchen counter completely bare. Meeting his accusatory stare, I told the lie with perfect composure. The crayfish are sold out. I didn't get any. He almost blurted out, couldn't you have gone earlier? I told you yesterday at noon. All he got in response was my silence. His phone rang at that moment. Suman informed him with an apologetic tone, Ayo. Xian overslept. Don't rush out. Spend more time with Xiaoya. He softened his expression and spoke gently. It's fine. You two sleep in a bit longer. Chiwa forgot to make the lunch boxes. Let Xian know I'll buy something else and bring it over later. Yeah, don't worry. I'm not upset with her. After hanging up, he walked straight to the nursery door and tried the handle, only to find it was locked. He turned back, signaling me to open the door. I'll get a doll for Xian. If you fail to keep a promise, you should offer some compensation. The last time Suman's son came over, he took a liking to the 2 in the nursery. I couldn't bear to give it away, so he rolled around on the floor, making a huge commotion. Yu came running at the noise, scolded me for being stingy, and snatched a doll from my hand to let Xian take it away. After that day, I locked the nursery. Yu glanced at the clock on the wall and urged, hurry up, I need to get going. Man and the others haven't had breakfast yet. I sat motionless on the sofa. I lost the keys. My continued refusal to cooperate finally caused his composure to crack. Chiyu, what's the point of picking a fight with a child? It's just a stupid toy. We can buy another one after the baby is born. I told him calmly. I'm not making a big deal out of this. That's it. I've had enough. Yu sneered. How many times do I have to say it for you to believe me? There is absolutely nothing going on between me and Suman. You know what they say, a dirty mind sees dirt everywhere. You need to take a good, hard look at yourself. I'm staying at the office for the next few days. Don't expect me back. He stormed out in a rage, slamming the door behind him from start to finish. He never once noticed the change in my abdomen. I entered the nursery, carefully packed up the baby clothes and toys, and burned them in a secluded spot. I called the to come over and remove the crib and other furniture. The once cozy little room quickly became empty. I locked the door and sent a text message to a number. Who should I hire to win my divorce case? A reply came quickly from the other side. Hire me. You didn't come back for several days in a row. One morning, I felt someone watching me in my sleep. I opened my eyes to find Yu sitting by my bed. He expected to see joy in my eyes, but all he got was a look of surprise. Why are you back? Yu pointed to the exquisitely packaged breakfast paper bag on the bedside table. I brought your favorite fish congee. Went all the way to the north side of town to get it. I racked my brains but couldn't recall ever having a fondness for fish congee. Not that I cared, though. I replied flatly, got it. Just leave it in the outer room. He didn't see the gratitude he was hoping for on my face, and his eyes dimmed. You're still upset with me. You know as well as I do that Su-man had a rough go of it. She ended up with the wrong man and has been struggling to raise her child alone. I'm just giving her a helping hand. It's nothing, really. His idea of a helping hand was hiring Su-man as his personal assistant, fixing a light bulb at her place in the dead of night, taking her and her son on a trip to Europe, and acting like a father to her boy. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Guyu's expression darkened, and his tone grew harsh. Chiyu, you have a happy marriage and a perfect family. Why dwell on such trivial matters? Can't you be more magnanimous? Let her go. And let yourself go too. Stop focusing on Su-man and put more thought into our soon-to-be-born baby. In the midst of our conversation, his hand reached over the blanket and rested on my abdomen. The words suddenly stopped. After a while, he spoke again, his voice tinged with a hint of panic. Where's the baby? I calmly informed him that the baby was gone. Guyu's voice was slightly hoarse. Chiyue, this isn't funny at all. Do I look like I'm joking? His eyes reddened. When did it happen? It's you going to Su-man's son's parent-teacher conference. Alright, it's Su-man again. He suddenly stood up, irritably interrupting me. Tell me, where did you hide the baby? I couldn't quite grasp the meaning of his words at first. It wasn't until he asked if I had hidden it at my mother's place that I realized he thought I had hidden the baby in my hometown to get back at him. I was left speechless. He thought he had hit the mark and let out a series of cold laughs. At Su-man's hardest time, she didn't even have a place to live, yet she never let Xianxian leave her side for a single day. Do you even deserve to be a mother, you heartless woman? He grabbed my arm. Come on, let's go get the baby back from your mom. He yanked me off the bed so forcefully that I fell to the floor. My knee slammed hard against the floor, and I couldn't hold back a sharp cry of pain. Guyu froze for a moment, instinctively reaching out to steady me, but I shifted my body away, avoiding his outstretched hand, and pushed myself up using the edge of the bed. After getting fully dressed, I turned to face him. Let's go. He seemed to see indifference on my face for the first time and suddenly paused. Where to? To pick up the baby. As I opened the door of the Kian, I noticed a brand new child seat in the back. Guyu noticed my gaze. That was bought specially to welcome our baby. I nodded but said nothing. 2 days ago, Su-man posted a photo of the exact same car seat on social media. She posted it proudly, her words dripping with, Dad handpicked this car seat for Xianxian, and it cost a whopping 6,000 yuan. The price tag isn't the point, it's the love behind it that counts. #heart. I knew full well that Guyu was lying, but I had absolutely no desire to confront him about it. The moment I got into the car, a strong wave of air freshener scent hit me. I frowned, almost imperceptibly. Seeing this, Guyu casually extinguished the incense and opened the window for some fresh air. In the past, I would have been deeply moved, but now I remain calm, not even bothering to say thank you. The first time I smelled this incense in Guyu's car, I vomited, holding back the churning in my stomach. I pulled out a trash bag and carefully vomited into it. I vomited until tears streamed down my face. When I looked up, I saw Guyu watching me with a stern expression, his eyes filled with undisguised disgust. You knew Man was going to take my car with the kids, yet you vomited all over it, making it smell awful. Are you trying to make things difficult for us on purpose? I clutched the trash bag, feeling extremely uneasy, tears welling up in my eyes. I'm sorry, the scent of the air freshener was too strong, and I'm pregnant, so I couldn't hold it back. He gave a cold smile, his face as frosty as ice. The incense was chosen by Man. Is it the incense you can't stand? Or is it Man herself you can't stand? Chiyue, stop your petty schemes. Trying to win my sympathy with such foolish tactics will only make me despise you more. To teach me a lesson, he stepped on the gas and drove off. As I got out to throw away the garbage bag, I was left stranded in the sparsely populated suburbs. My bag and phone were still in the car, so I couldn't call a ride. I walked a full 10 kilometers home, all while heavily pregnant. Guyu set the navigation destination to the high-speed rail station. Out of the blue, I said, let's stop by your office first. He was confused, but I didn't elaborate. I just said I'd left something important at the office. Before marrying Guyu and becoming a full-time wife, I worked in the legal department of his company, so, despite his doubts, he still went along with it. As soon as the car started moving, Guyu's phone rang. The caller ID on the screen showed Su-man. When the call connected, Xuan's heart-wrenching wails filled the car. You, can you come help me? Xianxian refuses to go to kindergarten unless his dad takes him. Su-man's voice was choked with sobs, sounding on the verge of a breakdown. Guyu glanced at his watch and quickly tried to calm her down. Don't cry, just wait 10 minutes for me, I'll be right there. To make it easier to look after Su-man and her son, Guyu had settled them in an upscale residential complex less than a 10-minute drive from our home. Seeing him change direction and head towards Su-man's place, I asked him to drop me off at the square ahead. I have a friend to meet there later. Just moments ago, my lawyer friend, who I've entrusted with my divorce proceedings, told me he's back from a business trip abroad and wants to meet with me. Guyu, however, mistakenly thought I was pouting. Didn't you hear Xianxian crying like that? I just went over to comfort the child. Why can't you trust me just this once? After we drop Xianxian off at kindergarten, we'll go pick up Bao Bao. Outside the apartment door, Xianxian was rolling on the ground, and Suman stood beside him. Looking helpless, she saw Guyu get out of the car and rushed over like a savior, affectionately linking her arm with his. Ayu, you're finally here. Xianxian has been crying for his daddy this whole time. I got out of Guyu's car and headed across from the residential complex to wait for the rideshare I had just booked. It was only then that Suman noticed me, her smile freezing on her face. Xiaoyu, I'm so sorry. It's just that Xianxian was being so fussy, and in my panic, I had no choice but to call Ayu. She yanked Xianxian away from Guyu's leg, where the child was clinging stubbornly, and gave him a few sharp smacks. How many times do I have to tell you? Uncle Gu is not your father. Don't you dare call Uncle Gu daddy again, or Auntie Chi will be furious. Xianxian burst into loud, messy sobs, his face streaked with tears and snot. In the midst of his crying and screaming, he suddenly glared at me with a look of pure, unmasked hatred in his clear, black and white eyes. Uninterested in the drama unfolding before me, I turned and walked away. Just 2 steps out, I was suddenly jolted from behind. Xianxian had somehow run up behind me, holding a compass in his hand. As I turned around, he suddenly threw the compass at my face. I instinctively blocked it, and the compass pierced my palm, sharp pain shooting through me. Seeing his plan fail, Xianxian charged at me again, but I pushed him away with a firm hand. Stop, Guyu bellowed angrily before I could react. I was roughly shoved to the ground. Suman picked up Xianxian, her eyes brimming with tears as she looked at me. I know you resent me for getting close to Ayu, but the child is innocent. If you have any grievances, come at me. Don't take it out on the child. Guyu looked down at me, his eyes brimming with disappointment. I thought you'd come to your senses. Turns out, all that before was just you playing hard to get. I couldn't be bothered to argue. Biting back the pain, I stood up, but as I turned to leave, his hand closed around my wrist. Chiyu, I can give you one more chance. Apologize to Man and Xianxian, or I'll have to reconsider our marriage. He delivered the threat with grave seriousness, fully expecting me to panic. Instead, I let out a soft, derisive laugh. If you're suggesting divorce, then it seems we're on the same page. He didn't expect me to say the word divorce so casually. After a brief moment of shock, he rubbed his temples as if utterly exhausted. Chiyu, don't push me. Think carefully. If we divorce, I will do whatever it takes to fight for custody of our baby. At that moment, I was suddenly filled with utter disgust for his stupidity. Well, I wish you the best of luck then. Also, you've never opened the things I sent to your office, have you? If you had just taken one look, you wouldn't be spouting such nonsense. I left them as a family of 3 without looking back and got into the ride-hailing car. 2 hours later, I sat in the cafe, across from the lawyer friend I had sought out. After carefully tending to the scrapes on my palm, he paused thoughtfully and said, while preparing the documents for the divorce case these past few days, I stumbled upon something unexpected, but I understood his hesitation and nodded calmly. I'm fine, send it over. My phone soon received a video. I clicked on it, and it was a surveillance video from a hotel. A door opened, and a familiar figure walked out. At that moment, Guyu's call suddenly came in. I hung up casually. He called again. I didn't want to pay attention, but he sent 2 text messages in a row. What exactly did you send me? Chiyu, answer the phone. So when he called again, I picked up. Chiyu, what's with the ashes in the box? Calmly, I spoke slowly, facing his hoarse roar. It seems you've seen the baby. Next, let's talk about the divorce. Guyu's phone clattered to the ground on the other end of the line. He hurriedly picked it up, his voice trembling. You're saying these ashes are the baby's? Suman screamed beside him, terrified, and dropped the box to the ground. Guyu was a bit impatient. Who told you to throw it away? Suman was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect it to actually be ashes. My hand slipped. She paused, her voice thick with sobs. Ayu, don't shout at me. I'm scared. Her tears always came at just the right moment. I didn't have time to listen to Guyu comfort her, so I ended the call decisively. Seated across from me, Song Yanchen was intently typing on his keyboard. Seeing that I had hung up the phone, he slid his laptop over to me. The draft agreement is pretty much done. Take a look and see if anything needs changing. Song Yanchen was my junior from university. Even back then, he was the campus-wide academic star, and in recent years, He's become a highly sought-after criminal defense lawyer. I had originally asked him to help me find a top-notch civil lawyer for my divorce case. To my surprise, he volunteered to take on the case himself. I knew his capabilities and didn't refuse. The divorce agreement was just the first step. Deep down, I was already prepared to file for divorce. I was well aware of Guyu's arrogance. If I brought up divorce, he would surely feel his pride deeply wounded and make my life miserable, demanding I admit fault and sign an unfair agreement. I had also considered that, as long as I could get a smooth divorce, I could endure another round of his verbal abuse, or even leave with nothing. But why? What gives him the right? I clearly haven't done anything wrong. I slipped the freshly printed, still warm divorce papers into my bag and got into Song Yanchen's car. When I arrived at Guyu's company, the receptionist was a new girl. Upon hearing I wanted to go to the CEO's office, she checked the appointment schedule and said earnestly, "Sorry, ma'am, Mr. Gu is currently busy and is not receiving any unscheduled visitors." I was hesitating whether to make a call when someone tapped me on the shoulder. Yeah. I turned around. That's Lin Xiaoxiao, a former colleague from my legal department. Lin Xiaoxiao greeted the young woman at the front desk and was about to take me to see Guyu. The receptionist hesitated, "But I just got word that Mr. Gu is very busy right now." Lin Xiaoxiao smiled. "She is Mr. Gu's wife." The young girl was shocked, looked me over several times, but ultimately said nothing. Lin Xiaoxiao noticed and whispered to me, "That girl probably mistook Su Man, that little schemer, for the CEO's wife. You have no idea that Su Man is unbelievably dense. Last time I handed some stamped documents to Mr. Gu, he told her to make 2 scanned copies. She actually tried to use the shredder as a scanner. How does someone like that have the nerve to be the CEO's secretary? And the worst part is, she just has to shed a few tears and Mr. Gu melts. Ever since she arrived, most of us old-timers have been quitting one after another." Lin Xiaoxiao was seething with indignation. Her resentment towards both Su Man and Guyu plain to see. "But what's really going on with Mr. Gu? He likes you so much, yet he keeps a green tea girl by his side every day." I paused for a moment. "Guyu likes me. It seems like a long time ago. We were indeed an enviable couple. I first met him in a courtroom. I was the plaintiff's lawyer, and he was a friend of the defendant. I won that case decisively. As I was leaving the courthouse, he stopped me and asked me to dinner." Looking at his high-bridged nose and the slight upward curve of his thin lips, I felt a sudden, unexpected flutter in my heart. Over dinner, he invited me to join the legal department at his company. To be honest, the job didn't appeal to me much, but under the spell of his tender, lingering gaze, I found myself nodding in agreement. How easily the heart of an old friend changes. And yet they say it's human nature to be fickle. The journey from treasuring me like a precious jewel to treating me with utter disregard took a mere 3 years. At this point in my recollection, I said to Lin Xiaoxiao with a detached tone, "Whether I like him or not is irrelevant now. Guyu and I will be getting a divorce soon." Lin Xiaoxiao covered her mouth, her eyes wide with shock as she stared at me. Just then, the elevator doors opened, and Song Yanchen stepped out, handing me my phone. I just realized I left my phone in the car. Upon seeing Song Yanchen, the usually eloquent Lin Xiaoxiao suddenly stuttered, "Mr. Song, why are you here at our company?" I introduced to Lin Xiaoxiao. "He's a friend of mine, just here to help me with something." "What friend? I've never seen him before." A low voice sounded from nearby. Guyu walked out of the office, holding a rosewood box in his hands. Su Man was there too, her head bowed, eyes slightly red and swollen. When she noticed my gaze on her, she looked frightened, yet resolutely took half a step forward, shielding Guyu. "Xiaoyu, this has nothing to do with AU. If you're going to blame anyone, blame me." Guyu, his face cold, pushed her aside and fixed his stare on Song Yanchen, his eyes brimming with intense hostility. "What exactly is your relationship with Chiyu?" he said almost through gritted teeth. Su Man's lips parted slightly. Looking at him in surprise, I pulled out the divorce agreement and handed it in front of him. "Take a look. If you have no objections, please sign it as soon as possible." Guyu took the divorce papers and, without even glancing at them, tore them to shreds. "Who said anything about me wanting a divorce? Or are you telling me you want a divorce? For this man?" He raised his finger and pointed at Song Yanchen. I frowned. "Guyu, stop fooling yourself. You know why we've ended up like this." Guyu sneered. "Isn't it just because I didn't take you to the hospital in time?" "Yes, the child is gone. I made a mistake, but I didn't do it on purpose. That day you only said you were bleeding, but who the hell knew that bleeding could be fatal?" He gradually became more agitated, his chest rising and falling with his breathing. Su Man stepped forward, gently stroking his chest, and comforted him. "Ah, you, don't get so worked up." Xiaoyu was just momentarily overwhelmed with anger and sought comfort with another man. Deep down, she still cares about you. Then she turned her head again. "Xiaoyu, I too am a woman, and I've been pregnant and given birth. Let me speak fairly, you can't put all the blame on AU for losing the baby. Even if AU had rushed you to the hospital right away that day, it's not certain the baby would have survived. Everyone has their own fate, perhaps that child was simply destined for a short life. I was so furious it felt like my liver was aching, a sweet, metallic taste of blood rose in my throat. With a sharp crack, I slapped Suman across the face. What fate my child had is none of your business to comment on. A flush spread rapidly across Suman's pale cheeks as she looked at Guyu, flustered and at a loss. AU, did I say something wrong? To her surprise, Guyu did not look at her with the heartache she had hoped for. Instead, he nodded with a hint of displeasure. You just lost her child. How could she bear to hear you say that? Suman froze, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. AU, I'm sorry, I didn't think it through. I just, choking back a sob, she covered her face and ran off, but after only a few steps, she let out a sharp cry and tumbled to the ground. She got up, pointing at Lin Xiaoxiao who was standing beside her. You, Lin Xiaoxiao said irritably, what are you pointing at? What's with the you, can't you see? You ran into my foot. Suman's face flushed, then paled. She stamped her foot and dashed into the CEO's office. Guyu's expression darkened. Lin Xiaoxiao, what business is it of yours? Whatever Suman has done, she is my secretary. As my subordinate, who are you to yell at her? Lin Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes dramatically. Oh, so she's just your secretary. I thought she was the CEO's wife. Who would have thought someone who looks so respectable could treat Yaya so horribly? 3 years ago, after Yaya won that case, law firms were throwing offers at her. And what did you do? You sweet-talked her into joining your company, then into marrying you. And this is how it ends up. Who wants to be your subordinate? I'm going to submit my resignation on DingTalk right now. I quit. She took off her ID badge, slammed it on Guyu, and stormed out angrily. The air grew still. Guyu clenched his fists tightly, his gaze dark and unreadable. Suddenly, the corners of his eyes reddened, and he asked me in a trembling voice, Chiyu, do you really want a divorce? There was a hint of pleading in his eyes, as if he would shatter the moment I nodded. Before I could answer, he stopped me from speaking. I know you don't really want to leave, otherwise, you wouldn't have brought another man here just to test my reaction. I looked at him as if he were a fool. Song Yanchen walked up to him and produced a business card. You seem to be mistaken, I'm the divorce lawyer retained by Chiyu. Guyu took the business card and tore it to pieces with a cold sneer. Just a lawyer. So what? Song Yanchen gave a faint smile. That means you're bound to lose this lawsuit. Guyu's face immediately darkened. I will not agree to the divorce. I'm her husband. And whether she divorces or not is up to me, Song Yanchen said calmly. It seems Mr. Gu doesn't quite understand the law, but that's okay. You'll learn everything once you're in court. Soon, this husband of yours will become an ex-husband. These words drove Guyu completely mad. He cursed and threw a punch at Song Yanchen. I had already noticed his movement and stepped in front of Song Yanchen. Guyu's eyes flashed with shock. He hastily withdrew his hand. His voice strained as he forced out a few words. How could you? His eyes were filled with utter disbelief. He couldn't believe I would recklessly stand in front of another man. Just as I had once shielded him from a knife a year after our marriage, I accompanied Guyu to inspect a building under construction that belonged to their company. A worker with some mental issues approached us, respectfully bowed to Guyu, and then suddenly pulled out a knife and stabbed at him in the blink of an eye. Before I even realized what was happening, I had already stepped in front of Guyu. A sharp knife pierced my abdomen, and blood soaked my dress. Guyu was terrified. On the ambulance, he held my hand, sobbing uncontrollably, begging me incoherently to stay awake and not close my eyes. It was only at the hospital that we found out I had been pregnant for a month. At that time, Guyu was in pain, unable to sleep all night. I comforted him, saying it was the baby who protected the father. So when I got pregnant for the second time, my first thought was that our baby had come back. But this well-behaved and obedient baby never even opened its eyes, never drank a drop of milk, never felt the sun, and was gone. My action of protecting Song Yanchen provoked Guyu. He stared at my face intently, his handsome features twisted, and he blurted out without thinking, what exactly is he to you? Why are you so protective of him? The child just died, and you're already eager to climb into another man's bed. He thought I would still tremble with rage like before because of his vicious verbal attacks, but I just looked at him with pity. Guyu, you really are a rotten person. His face changed drastically. I signaled for Song Yanchen to leave with me. Song Yanchen followed me a few steps, then suddenly stopped. Senior, give me half a minute, I need to deal with some trash. He took off his glasses and handed them to me, then turned and strode quickly over to Guyu. Guyu couldn't react in time. He was grabbed by the collar, slammed against the wall, and landed a solid punch. I quickly cried out, "Song Yanchen, don't hit." Guyu saw me trying to stop him, and there was a hint of joy in his eyes. "Chiyu, you really," but I didn't even pay attention to him. Instead, I asked Song Yanchen with concern, "Does your hand hurt?" Guyu froze, and the wooden box in his hand fell to the ground. I crouched down and picked it up. "Since you don't cherish it, I'll take it away." Guyu hurriedly tried to snatch it, but was firmly restrained by Song Yanchen. Unable to get close to me, he said somewhat awkwardly, "Chiyue, I didn't take it for granted. I've already arranged for a professional master to chant scriptures for the baby. These ashes, I'll have them made into diamonds and carry them with me forever, to remember this mistake." "Enough, Guyu." I stopped him from continuing. "Stop doing these things that only move yourself. It's meaningless, whether you remember or not. It doesn't concern me, but I need to tell you that Bao Bao will never forgive you, and neither will I." 12. I moved out of my old home. Guyu has come to my new place multiple times, but he couldn't even get into the community. I informed the property management and security in advance not to let this man force his way in and harass the residents, and to call the police if necessary. Song Yanchen offered me a position at the law firm he founded. After my postnatal recovery period, I officially started work. My days were busy and fulfilling. This routine went on for over half a month. Then one day, I suddenly received several strange text messages, all filled with abusive language directed at me. Someone even called me to play terrifying sound effects. My first thought was Guyu's little move, and I was about to call the police when Lin Xiaoxiao contacted me. "Chiyu, Suman has posted about you online." I clicked on the video she sent me. The video is only a few seconds long and was taken from a surveillance clip. The location was in front of Suman's house. It was the time when Xianxian refused to go to school, and Guyu took me there, leading to a conflict. The person making the video cleverly only included the part where I impatiently pushed Xianxian away, causing him to fall and cry. The scenes where Xianxian threw a compass at me and Guyu rushed over to push me were not included at all. This video has been tagged with #female-lawyer and #child-hater, and a burner account in the comments even doxed my personal information. Even though this video didn't get much traction, every single one of the 20-something comments was attacking me. I guess my actions really pissed everyone off. How is someone like this not behind bars, and still allowed to practice law openly? You can tell just by looking at her she's no good. If I were that kid's parent, I would have kicked her right then and there. I glanced at the share count. It was in single digits. After saving the screenshot as evidence, I quietly topped up the video's funds to help her trend. The next day, the buzz really picked up. More and more people started paying attention to this video. More and more people are finding my personal information from the comments section and sending me abusive texts or calling to harass me. Suman capitalized on the buzz by going live, where her tearful and emotional accusations added more detail to the trending topic. According to her, she was tied up with something that morning, so she asked an old classmate who lived nearby to help take her child to kindergarten to avoid any suspicion. She even made sure to invite the friend's wife to come along, but she didn't expect her friend's wife to still be jealous. Her child wanted to go over and hug the aunt, but was violently pushed to the ground, breaking their coccyx. Relying on the sympathy of netizens, she streamed for 3 consecutive days. During this time, Guyu called me, urging me not to go out for the time being, fearing that extreme netizens might come looking for trouble. Or, "Shall I take you to the Arctic to unwind? Haven't you always wanted to go?" I didn't answer his question but instead asked him one. "At the time you witnessed the entire process, would you be willing to go online and tell the truth to help me clarify?" Guyu remained silent. After a long pause, he finally said, Yeah, Suman, she didn't mean it. It's not easy for her to raise a child alone. If I clear things up, how will she live her life afterwards? Don't worry, netizens are like this. Once the buzz dies down, they won't remember you anymore, and no one will bother you further. That's why I want to take you out for a while, just to avoid the situation. I smiled knowingly and hung up the phone. I hadn't planned to ask Guyu for help, but since he happened to call, I casually mentioned it. On the 4th day, Suman was live streaming. As she was complaining and promoting products, the police knocked on her door as if slandering a lawyer. There's no way I'd let her get away unscathed. As expected, the surveillance was deliberately sabotaged, but that's okay. Song Yanchen and I found the owner of a car that was parked in the community at the time. The car's dashcam captured the entire incident in perfect detail. It recorded everything, from Guyu getting out of the car and Suman linking arms with him intimately, to Xianxian throwing the compass at my face, to me pushing him away in self-defense, and finally, Guyu laying hands on me. Interestingly, the dashcam even caught what happened after I got into the ride-hailing car. After I left, Suman leaned on Guyu's shoulder, weeping bitterly. As she cried, she clung tightly to him. Gu stroked her long hair and said something, and then suddenly, Suman looked up and planted a soft kiss on his lips. This is what Suman meant by avoiding suspicion. I had someone post these amazing scenes online. Although they were blurred, Suman was still recognized by her fans. The situation completely reversed during the investigation. The small account that posted my personal information was found to be registered with another phone number of Suman's. I've sued Suman for defamation. The evidence is solid. She's facing the full force of the law. Gu called me again, and I could hear the frustration in his voice. Chiyu, do you have to be so harsh? Suman has a child. Must you drive her into a corner? I wonder. Now she remembers she has a child, but did she ever think about her child when she broke the law? Gu softened his tone. I know you hate me. Fine, I agree to divorce you. I'll sign the papers. Suman and I are completely innocent. Stop involving innocent people because of me. I almost laughed out loud. Do you think too highly of yourself? I'm suing Suman not because of you, but because she actually committed illegal acts. As a lawyer, if I let her go like this, how can I face the oath I took when I got my license? The day I received the divorce papers, a huge weight lifted from my shoulders. Gu glanced expressionlessly at Song Yanchen, who was waiting for me not far away, and asked to hold me one last time. I recoiled and refused him coldly. He gave a bitter smile. I know you don't believe me, but there really was nothing substantial between Suman and me. I admit I might have wavered for a moment, but in this matter, my conscience is clear. Faced with his high-sounding declaration, I said without mincing words, your clear conscience is worth nothing to me. He asked me, after all these years together, is sarcasm really all you have to say to me? I thought about it and said seriously, there is. Actually, you're in trouble. You'd better find a good lawyer as soon as possible. Guyu's face darkened, and he turned around angrily and left. But I am serious. Months later, Guyu was sued by a competitor for illegally obtaining trade secrets while helping me investigate Guyu. Song Yanchen discovered that Guyu had stayed at a hotel owned by the Song family in Germany during a trip to Europe with Suman and her child. He reviewed the hallway surveillance footage. In the surveillance video, after settling Xianxian in her own room, Suman, wearing only a sheer lace nightgown, knocked on Guyu's door. Guyu seemed to hesitate for a long moment before finally letting Suman into his room. 2 hours later, Suman emerged from the room. The lace nightgown was gone, replaced by Guyu's shirt and jacket draped over her. Suman then left the hotel with Xianxian to visit the scenic spots. Guyu stayed alone at the hotel and met with a technician from a rival company that afternoon. Following this lead, Song Yanchen tracked down that company. It was ultimately discovered that the technician was suspected of stealing company secrets and selling them to Guyu, which led to the company's failed bid and a loss of nearly 10 million. After being indicted, Guyu reached out to me through an intermediary, asking me to be his defense attorney. His words were pleading. I know I've wronged you, but for the sake of the love we once shared, please help me. Also, it's been so long. I've really missed you. I had someone tell him I was busy, but not to worry, he'd be seeing me soon enough. Guyu had no choice but to hire a renowned lawyer at great expense to defend him when the case went to trial.